Hey guys, Danny here from the Lazarcast, and I am reviewing the final two episodes of Creepshow on Shudder. I just watched the season finale, episode 5. Last week, I didn't review episode 4 because one of my best friends came in from out of state, and we spent Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night hanging out, drinking, eating, and having a great time. So I finally watched episode 4, and let me just give you some super quick thoughts on it. First of all, this was directed by the pair, an awesome pair of directors, Axel Carolyn. Directed, for my money, the best episode of The Haunting of Bly Manor, which was episode 7 out of 8. And that was the black and white episode with the lady in the lake, the romance of certain old clothes, I believe it was called. Phenomenal episode. And she has a new movie out right now called The Manor, which I cannot wait to watch. This episode was pretty good. I love the practical effects by KMB. Basically, a guy meets a woman at a coffee shop and follows her back to her home, not in a stalkerish way. Everything's going swell. Turns out she, or somebody in the apartment, sings in a way that her roommate is a siren. He is forced into surgery to remove the vocal cords from one siren to put them into the woman he followed so that she can become a siren. Weird segment because it didn't feel very Creepshow-ish. In fact, it ended almost with a very kind of positive, romantic way. All things considered, like most Creepshow segments, it flies by. Good practical effects by K&B, and I like the way Axel Carolyn directs. I think she's a phenomenal director. The second segment was done by Creepshow regular, director of Mayhem, star of Holliston on Shudder, Joe Lynch, and it was called Meter Reader. And this is one of those rare cases where I have to admit I didn't love the segment, but I love the idea behind it, and I would love to see Joe Lynch expand on this idea and make this into almost a feature-length movie. Basically, this is a post-apocalyptic exorcist story. Dad, played by, I believe his name is pronounced. You'll know him if he's very popular. He's been in a million things. He's a meter reader. He rides out and goes into this post-apocalyptic wasteland, exorcises demons, and they have a bring out your heads garbage truck, which if you can throw their heads in the garbage. Well, he comes back home and he's late. Home invasion style demon possession story. Like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of the segment, but I love the idea, and I would actually love to see this expanded over into like an 80 to 90 minute feature. So, that being said, that was episode 4. Uh, Show. That was last week's episode. The episode that debuted tonight, the season finale, I believe the season finale, segments, one of which I thought was fine, and one of which I was absolutely blown away by, loved it, and maybe my favorite segment of the entire season. The opening segment was called Timeout. This to me felt very Creepshow, Tales from the Cryptish, that whole idea of have this device that overuse it and it takes over your life. So this was written by Barrington Smith and Paul I believe his name is pronounced, directed by Jeffrey F. January, who directed earlier segments this season. Basically, you have Tim, played by Matthew Barnes, who inherits this magical armoire from his grandparents. If you go inside of it, it stops the time. He needs more time to study for the bar exam. He goes inside the armoire, uh, studies for hours and hours and hours. He comes out of the armoire, time hasn't moved, past the bar and become a very successful lawyer. He's able to marry the girl of his dreams. He's able to make partner faster than anyone else, all because he's stealing time in the armoire. And of course, like a monkey's paw, he ends up losing the key at the end. Disastrous results. Uh, this was not my favorite segment, but I like the idea. Again, I think this is what we come to expect from Creepshow, Tales from the Crypt, this type of like short anthology where there's a lesson to be learned in the story. So I did like that aspect of it. Um, there were some things like the facial hair and the wig that the actor was wearing, or it looked like a wig. Just didn't sit right with me. But either way, it was short and inoffensive, and I liked the ending. The second part was an animated segment called "The Thing in Oakwood's Past." Animated segment, and it centers around a news team that basically wants to do a fluff piece around the town of Oakwood, where 200 years ago the entire town disappeared. And the daughter of the mayor, named Marnie Wrightson, in what I am sure is an allusion, an homage to Bernie Wrightson, the great animator who animated Psycho the Werewolf, as well as many other. The mayor, her dad in this, is voiced by Mark Hamill, and Marnie is voiced by Danielle Harris of Halloween 4 and 5, and then Rob Zombie's Halloweens, and tons of other horror films. She also guest starred in Holliston a few episodes with Joe Lynch. Uh, this this has so many homages to Creepshow, the original, to the point where they bring up Carpenter's Arctic expedition, and there's the crate is brought up. You could tell this was written by Daniel Krauss and Greg Nicotero, directed by Dave Newberg. Loved about this episode. Basically, what we find out in this segment is that every 200 years, the people of Oakwood just disappear. There's a celebration that night to open up this time capsule that was put in the ground 200 years ago by the people in 1821. Daughter Marnie is a historian, and she figures out that there's some kind of demonic force, and they need to open the crate, the time capsule, to get the secret to stop this like evil force that's gonna come out of the woods and wipe the town out. Until she realizes, so a little bit too late, just a bit too late, that it was actually the crate, the time capsule was sealing in the evil. Mayor unknowingly unleashes, and you get this epic animated cabin in the woods style hellscape open out of the crate. You get all these types of horrible monsters. It's like a combination of Cabin in the Woods and the Mist, where you have these insects and tentacled monsters, Lovecraftian beings, and they're just ripping the town apart. The guy, the news reporter who's there, who was kind of like the love interest to Marnie, voiced by Ron Livingston of Office Space, he gets like his hand cut off, his legs cut off, and then he gets bisected, and I'm just like, wow, oh, this is awesome. So much cool stuff goes on. Uh, and hey, if you're gonna do a final segment, might as well do a cabin in the woods style ending, right? So this might have been my favorite segment of the entirety of season 3 of Creepshow. Overall, I love this show. It's 45 minutes once a week, 5 episodes, 2 segments per episode. You get new and fresh voices in horror coming to do something that has a rich and steeped horror tradition. Creepshow came out in 1982. It was the love child of George A. Romero and Stephen King. And now you have Greg Nicotero as the executive producer bringing it back. We're able to have horror directors like Joe Lynch and Axel Carolyn uh, come in and work on these projects, as well as countless other. You have like Daniel Harris and Mark Hamill are working on this. So, even if the segments aren't fantastic blowaway segments, even if the episodes aren't the greatest TV, you never feel like you've wasted your time. 45 minutes, you're in, you're out, come back next week for another episode. And if and when season 4 comes out, I'll be here for the Lasercast covering it. So this has been Danny for the Lasercast. Give this video a like. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We're covering the whole Halloween franchise this month. We have an interview going up on the channel, hopefully tomorrow, with David Weiner, the director of In Search of Darkness 1, 2, and soon to be Part 3. And we actually talk about the 1980s Halloween movies with him, Halloween's 3, 4, and 5. We also talk about a few of the other Halloween movies as well. We have videos of Halloween 2, Halloween Kills right now up on the channel, and so much more coming up later this month. So, hope you enjoy the channel. Hope you go and watch Creepshow on Shudder, and we'll see you very soon.